Welcome, goblins and ghoulies, witches and werewolves, vampires and... well, you get the idea. My name is Miss Natalie, and I'm here to read you a super special, spooky story. Well, it's not super duper spooky, so don't worry. Are you ready? Here we go. The night the library came alive, villains strike back! By the La Quinta Library. The summer was gone and fall had appeared. The library had been villain-free for 1 year. With foes locked away, the books were protected. Witch, queen, wolf, monster, vampire? No longer suspected. Yes, our hero librarians kept the monsters secured. Bookmarks were used, therefore peace had endured. Folks had returned to the library to explore, read, and learn, but soon books began appearing damaged upon their return. My sister tore it. The dog chewed the page. The silliest excuse? It's wrinkled with old age. Look at that book. Poor book. With closures and quarantines, damaged books had amassed. The care and repair shelves were filling up fast. Now, can I tell you a little secret? You may not know this, but what people don't know is that when books are mangled, the lines between worlds become weakened and tangled. Let's continue our story. In the west, the sun set. The night's air had a bite. The librarian announced, "Dear patrons, we are closed for the night. We will open again tomorrow. We'll see you then. Please come no sooner than 10 a.m. The librarian smiled as she locked the door, then turned to see a frightening sight on the floor. A trail of books had appeared, torn and tattered, and she yelped when she heard a faraway clatter. She followed the trail, she followed the sound, to the back room where destruction was found. The shelves had exploded with falling pages and scattered debris. She tried to approach, but a rumbling made her freeze. Slowly, so slowly, she turned to glance behind her when there came a quick shove from a ferocious tiger. Quick! Under the table! She rolled out of sight, and looming above stood Shere Khan in all his might. Scared and alone, not knowing what to do, the librarian grabbed what she could, and she threw, and each tool she grabbed, Shere Khan would evade. Growing ever more helpless, she was concerned and afraid. Looking around, only one thing remained. She grabbed the book scanner and then took aim. As Shere Khan leapt from his perch on the table, the world around him swirled, becoming unstable. With a growl from the tiger and a swipe of his paw, Shere Khan dissolved in the blink of a claw. Our librarian had scanned him, had checked his book in, and left in his place was a small token. How could this happen? All monsters had been banned. Surveying the destruction, she began to understand. The books had been weakened by misuse for so long, allowing new villains to escape to a world they don't belong. Now knowing what to do, to the phone she flew. Fellow librarians, activate villain code red. Grab your scanners and keep a cool head. Be alert, be aware, be on your guard. Scan them like you do a library card. With a cart and scanners, our heroes readied themselves, then went forth to seek villains among the bookshelves. Like Hansel and Gretel, fearless Sarah followed the crumbs, which as she went became sweet sugar plums, and toffee and gumdrops and pumpkin jellies. At the end the witch lurked, fork, knife, and growling belly. Sarah strayed from the path, enchanted by sugary confection. The witch crept forward, praising her plan's perfection. But before she could pounce, another hero appeared. Through the makerspace door came Michelle the Revered. Giant glue stick in hand, she gave a fierce shout. "Hey, stop!" which was just long enough for the enchantment to fizzle out. With this brave action, the Witch of Sweets met her doom. Sarah scanned for her life, and back into her story the witch was consumed. Neverland's foe, the captain called Hook, escaped from a waterlogged Peter Pan book. Away and adrift from his ship and his crew, the center of the library he staked his claim to. While surveying the terrain of his new Jolly Roger, Gina the Swift challenged the old codfishy codger. In true pirate fashion, Hook bellowed, "On guard!" They parried and lunged through the doors to the courtyard. Hook stood frozen in fear. He knew that the reptilian croc must be near. Whipping around, he cowered at the sight of sharp claws. There was our Rex with a clock in his jaws. The buccaneer never stood a chance as Gina approached in scanning stance. With a scan, he was whisked back to his book, and that was the end of Captain James Hook. Once a famous hammer thrower, the Trunchbull was a fright. She relished launching objects and watching them take flight. Released from her storybook stained by chocolate cake, she marched through the building, leaving terror in her wake. Upon encountering the children's books, she found herself repulsed. She grabbed the nearest chapter book, and she chucked it on impulse. One by one, the Trunchbull wildly launched them without caring. Amidst the ruckus she was causing, boldly entered Jade the Daring. With a duck and a jump, Jade dodged the flying prose. As Daniela the Clever emerged stage left, with cart ready to oppose, the cart sped towards Trunchbull, who stubbornly stood her ground. Oof, that's gotta hurt. Jade took her scanning chance, and back to her book she was bound. Then all was still, all was calm. The librarians looked around. Not one cackle or roar was heard, no more villains could be found. Our humble heroes dusted up the wreckage, shelved books back in their place. And as a team, they cleaned and taped the damaged books with grace. The end. So, what do we do now that disaster's been thwarted? Take care of your books and you'll be rewarded with adventures that take you across the high seas or through a lush jungle in the shade of the trees. Now it's time to go, but before we depart, I ask you to please take this advice to heart. Don't write in, spill on, drip, rip, or chew them. Protect your books, or their villains could break through them.